Good morning, football fans. This is the Pigskin Prognosis 2025-2026, Episode 1. I am your co host, Zach, alongside with Sully.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Glad to see everybody again.
And it has been a long 2 weeks since our last episode.
2 weeks, 2 months, close enough.
So we're not going to talk about that, but we're a little bit
All Zach's
behind.
fault.
But we got a good episode for you. We just wrapped up the draft last weekend. So we're going to go over some draft analysis moving forward into the 2025-2026 season, give our opinions, professional opinions, and just kind of talk about what the season looks like and give you some insight on potentially some fantasy league information that you might want to look into if you play a dynasty league or any kind of ESPN leagues for offense. So stick around. We got a good episode for you today. And again, we apologize. I apologize for not posting in the last 2 months, but we're back on track starting the 2025 season. So here we go. All right. Well, first off, Sully,
What up?
how you been?
Good, been good, man. Wrapping up, rehabbing the shoulder injury and getting back on track. Should be good to go by the beginning of June. So can't wait for that to be finally fucking done. Long 6 months. Almost as long since our last episode. It feels. But no, like Zach said, we apologize for that. A good amount of stuff happened in the off season, but also on the flip side of it, not really. We'll end up talking about a bunch of like the movers and everything else probably right when draft time happens for fantasy leagues, right around that beginning of August time frame with, people getting traded, moved around, etc. But yeah, no, dude, I've been good. How about you?
I'm good. Yeah, same as you, rehabbing that shoulder. I am but on the same kind of time frame, probably like mid June, late June return, and should be good to go to play another softball tournament in Nashville in July. So
Nice.
see, hopefully we're good to go there. Yeah,
Nice.
it's getting better. I have
Nice.
finally played softball for the first time since December, just a couple weeks ago, and it felt good. It's still kind of sore when I throw, so I'm kind of avoiding throwing, at least really hard. I can do some light tossing, but not anything like in a game. But I can hit, and that feels fine. Hitting pretty well.
Oh,
So.
I was waiting for you to tell me. Yeah, I tore my other shoulder. Is what I was waiting for you to say. But
No, I haven't fallen yet on that shoulder, which, yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't have been shocked. I would have also known, but by now. But all right, draft time.
Yeah.
Well, late draft time since it's about a week after the fact. All right, so I think the general consensus was that Cameron Ward and Shadir Sanders and Travis Hunter were kind of and Abdul Carter were kind of the top four or so, designated draft picks, and just who, what order was kind of the deciding factor. But I'm going to talk about all that here in a second. So starting off with the first pick, Tennessee Titans, who there was rumors they were going to trade out of the number one spot and get a ton of draft picks in upcoming years. They decided not to take it, decided to go with the QB from Miami in Cameron Ward. I feel like toward the end of last season, we kind of, at least I gave my thoughts on that just because of the fact that, that was the same guy that opted out of the rest of that, basically the bowl game that really didn't matter after he set the record of, most passing yards or rushing yards, whatever the hell it was, which chapped my ass. But like I said, we've already kind of talked about all of that.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts there, Zach, on Tennessee picking a quarterback, especially when they have Will Levis, and they thought he was supposed to be, their franchise QB?
Yeah, I think either one of two things is going to happen in the next couple of years. They're either going to trade away Will Levis in the near future, or they picked Cam Ward to kind of light a fire under his ass. And try to get a little bit more production from a veteran. I guess you could call him a veteran because he's been in the league for what, 3 years now.
Yeah, something like that. Two or
But
3 years.
yeah, somebody that I mean, I wouldn't consider him a veteran, but now that you've got him over a rookie, yeah, he's got more experience than that rookie. But that doesn't always necessarily line up. I know that a lot of teams the last decade or so pick, an offensive guy, or in most cases even like a defensive guy, and they play them almost immediately, with the exception of a quarterback. A lot of quarterback rookies usually sit and watch. They try to understand. The coach really wants them to understand more about the league and kind of give them the opportunity to see how a game develops under the supervision of a more of a leading quarterback that's been with the team for a while. I just don't see how Cam Ward is going to learn well under Will Levis. Will Levis is
Uh,
not a good quarterback in my opinion. I don't think that he's going to teach Cam much that there is to teach him. Um, I think Cam is just going to have to get out there, play the game, and figure it out himself. And Tennessee is, I think it's going to be, he's going to have a really steep learning curve, but it's going to hit him quick because the Titans' offensive line is not good, and
mhm.
Cam's going to have to make up for his time in the pocket with the fact that he could get leveled really quick by some professional defenses.
Yeah, I think Cam Ward, honestly, there's a lot of pressure that comes with being pick one round, round one, pick one. And with the QB, it always ends up being the expectation's going to be that you're the starter,
Yeah.
like right off the bat, week one. So I think, barring anything crazy in preseason or rookie mini camps, training camp, etc., Cam Ward is gonna be the Titan starter, unless, like I said, Levis just balls out and impresses the shit out of the coach. There's a reason why the guy got pick number one overall by the Titans. I think they went in with the expectation of, all right, cool, like this, you're ready to start, and we've seen it, year and year and year again. You pick a QB number one overall. First person that comes to mind is Bryce Young, with the expectation of, okay, cool, like you have all this added pressure with that expectation of, all right, cool, you're gonna come in, you're gonna ball out year one, whether we suck or not. And
Yeah.
you'll be able to, read NFL defenses and scramble and everything else that comes with it. And obviously, in the Bryce Young case, we saw how that panned out. Dude got benched, ended up coming back doing a I thought was a really good job his second half of his second season. Um, but yeah, the expectation originally with him, especially, was you're going to come in, you're going to ball out for us, and we're expecting you to live up to that number one pick. And I'm seeing it's going to be the same thing with Cam Ward. Unfortunately, he didn't go to a team that has a lot of offensive weapons. I mean, that's why you're the number one overall pick.
Right.
So I just don't want to see what happened to Bryce happen to this kid. Which, I mean, granted, I'm not gonna lie. I was the first person to write off Bryce Young and be like, all right, cool, time to move on. Like, that experiment worked fantastically, and let's move on now. So, but I just don't want to see the kid set up for failure. Unfortunately, I
Yeah.
think that's the way the league's going. Like, we don't give QBs time to develop. We don't give them time to actually learn, especially when they're those higher draft picks.
I do agree with you. I think there is a much more added level of pressure for not only just first round, but usually like top 10 quarterback draft, um, because you're expected to, you're picked in that point for a reason. Like, the game, you've performed well at college level. Now it's time to show the league what you can do. And in most cases, like you said, you're drafted in the top 10, which means you're normally going to a team that's not able to perform, and at least hasn't been able to perform the last year. So it's not likely that one guy can make a change in that, make an entire turnaround, but we have seen it where, a first round draft pick can generate momentum either on either side of the ball. It doesn't always have to be an offensive player, but can be
Mm.
that defense, that key moment player and kind of
That missing link, so to speak.
yeah, and just kind of spin that mentality around. But it's also you kind of have like both sides of the story, right? Like you're adding into something that you think that you may have a missing link for, but you've also got a relatively young player still in that position in Will Levis. So my question is, does do the Titans move away from Will Levis, or do they keep him as a bench player, or do they start him with the expectation to play Cam Ward a couple of weeks into the season just to kind of get his feet wet, play him in some spring training games, put him in for a couple of early season, third or fourth quarter runs, just to get the feeling of being in a legit NFL game, break the nerves up, and then 4 or 5 weeks into the season, say, "All right, dude, you're our starter. Go out there and make shit happen." Um,
Yeah.
and that could create a lot of pressure, especially when if you like, for example, with Cleveland, a a couple years ago when they drafted Baker Mayfield, right? He didn't
Mm.
play for the first like it was like 6 or 7 weeks of the season, and when he did finally come in, he took over a game and they drove Cleveland to win. And it was their first win in like a year, right? So that can be a make or break moment for somebody. Like you may have to be ready to jump into that point in the game where you think, okay, this is, the 6th week, I'm not starting. But at any given point, something could happen where you're like, boom, I gotta go. And now you're in charge, and not only that, but you're able to drive that team to a win, and even further that the first win that team has had in months, or in Cleveland's case, a while. I think it was over a year because they just came off of their like 0-16 season.
Nice.
So yeah, so that could be like a momentum builder, and that could even shape shift someone's career to kind of like give them a solid foundation to say like, all right, this guy is he's already solidified himself as he wants to be in the league and he's going to perform well under pressure. Now let's just see how consistent he is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd be willing to I'd be willing to bet that Tennessee isn't sure what they want to do yet, but um, very interested to see what they do with Will Levis particularly.
Yeah, I got a feeling that he's going to be trade bait. Granted, they're probably not going to get much from him, but I would say Cameron Ward by week one is like I said earlier, barring any setbacks, is the starter in Tennessee come regular season week one, and I think that'll be announced probably pretty early into the preseason too, barring he just goes through and absolutely shits the bed. But it's funny that you mention players though that play offense or defense, and the next person's who we're going to talk about's case does both sides of the ball and does them in a very high and elite level. This pick should have been Cleveland, should have been your team, should have been your boys picking number two. They ended up trading with the Jacksonville Jaguars, went from second to fifth to pick up the wide receiver and cornerback combo from Colorado. That is Travis Hunter, the Heisman Trophy winner from this past season. I absolutely love this pick. I I'm a big fan of Travis Hunter. Have been for a while. I've been, I watched him on, Coach Prime um, on Amazon Prime. The kid just has got his head on straight, right? Goes through damn good GPA. All the kid wants to do is play video games and play football and fish. That's literally all this kid wants to do. To go through and I want to say in the draft they announced him as a wide receiver from Colorado during the draft.
They actually did both.
The,
They did announce him as cornerback and wide receiver.
did they? I saw that he had two draft cards. I saw that.
Yeah.
Which for Jacksonville, it shows me, hey, we want to get you some offense for Trevor Lawrence. Some weapons that can help out. You also have Brian Thompson, yeah, on as a receiver as well too. So hey, take a little bit of pressure off of Trevor Lawrence to try to do everything himself, and ETN as well. Get the wide receiver here that put up great numbers and then won the Heisman Trophy. The thing that I'm interested in seeing is, are they going to let him play? How much are they going to let him play cornerback? That's my question.
Yeah, I think we kind of mentioned that too a couple episodes ago. Like, how much time is he going to get split on either sides of the ball? If he plays a lot of offense, he might not play as much defense because, I mean, let's be real, it's a very physical game, and he's in a position to where he's going to be very drained playing both sides of the ball consistently. So I think that they're going to want to see what he excels at and maybe keep him on that side, but allow him to get some reps in on the other side as well. Um, I think they need him more on the offensive side. I think he's going to be more of a playmaker on the offensive side of the ball. His
Yeah.
he is a good cornerback, but he's not. I wouldn't consider him like a top 10 cornerback, but he is a top 10 overall pick because he can do both.
It's gonna be hard for him. The best way I've been seeing this is it's gonna be real hard for him to go through and, let's say, play a wide receiver being lined up against a Patrick Surtain at corner, one of the best ones in the NFL, and run routes for fucking however long the drive lasts, and then immediately go out there and have to cover somebody like Tyreek Hill. Obviously, they're two separate teams, but like whoever the best player is on the team is who you're going to be covered by, or at least one of the better cornerbacks defenders. And then you're going to have to go out and be expected to cover their top receiver.
Yeah.
So like how well are you going to be able to do that? And that's going to be interesting. Yeah, the being tired thing is going to be a big play, but the fact the kid played way more offensive snaps or offensive just snaps in total than anybody combined last year was, I think, just a testament to how much the kid's willing to work and willing to put in the effort and show like, hey, I can. Yeah, it's not NFL level. We're not playing the SEC or anything, but I'm still out here playing almost every snap that I can on both sides of the ball and doing it at an elite level.
Yeah.
What I want to know what your thoughts, being a Cleveland fan, with them trading the pick away to Jackson just to move back 3 spots.
I'm glad that you actually asked that because I am a little upset about that pick. They their pick at number 5 versus number 2, I think, was not wasted. They did fill the gaps on the D line that they needed. So they didn't completely waste the pick. However, if you kind of look at the overall picks for the 2025 draft for Cleveland, they picked defensive tackle and a linebacker in the first 2 picks, so number 5 and number 33. Then they proceeded to pick 2 running backs, 2 quarterbacks, and a tight end. What the fuck? Like, no wide receiver, which is one of our biggest needs. No cornerback, which I think is another big need. No safety. They focused on the primary, like the defensive line, a linebacker, and then a lot of run
quarterbacks.
Yeah, more like run offense. You got a tight end, Harold Fannin. I don't even know who this guy is from Bowling Green. Granted, he's from Ohio, so cool. But I just don't. I don't see just don't see what they see. You know, the tight end. I'm looking at his stats right now. Just I don't know.
At this point, I don't know why you're fucking speechless, my guy. Like,
yeah. I mean, I am. I'm always fucking speechless. I think I told you earlier this weekend. It's like being a Cleveland Browns fan is like asking to be kicked in the nuts every day, and it does not disappoint. Let me tell you, it does not disappoint. Um, Picking 2 quarterbacks. Now, granted, one of those quarterbacks was Shadur Sanders in the 5th overall round, 144th overall pick. Didn't see that coming, but they traded up to get him, which I don't understand why they did that, but whatever.
I didn't see anybody. They traded with the Eagles. I don't see the Eagles picking him up at that point. I don't think he would have been off the board by then.
They traded with the Seahawks. When the Seahawks had already like solidified their quarterback this last week. Who did they trade for? Who did they sign? Sam Darnold, and as like a backup to God, who just went to Seattle this last like month or so? That's gonna email. Can't remember. But
I mean, Sam Howell, I'm pretty sure just went there.
Maybe that's who I'm thinking of.
Who's ass? I would take Donald any day of the week over that, but
But I mean, it's just like I don't get it. Yeah, here's my problem, right? As a Cleveland fan, here's my episode, my every episode rant about Cleveland. Why would you draft two quarterbacks? Uh, Shadur Sanders, sure, good pick at 144, whatever. He was still on the board, which is surprising. And Dylan Gabriel from Oregon, okay, whatever. Now you've also got Kenny Pickett already on staff, which the Cleveland Browns have already said that they're not going to pick up his option for next year, not this year, but the following year. They've got Deshaun Watson, who can't stay healthy and is always injured or sore or whatever.
a problem.
And then all four of those quarterbacks are going to start. I'm calling it right now, are going to start behind Joe fucking Flacco. Joe Flacco is earning week one start. I'm calling that right now.
Absolutely. It'll be honestly each preseason game. You're gonna see all three. You'll see Pickett, you'll see the kid from Oregon, and you'll see Shadur play every time. I guarantee it. You'll see all
100%.
three. Watson probably isn't going to touch the field this season because of his re-ruptured Achilles. So he's probably not going to play again this season, assuming they don't get rid of his ass and just bite the bullet on losing all the money.
That's another thing that I thought about too, is that they've openly said that they made a mistake with that contract. So why keep him? If I mean, there's some resentment back and forth between both of the team and the player. Why not get rid of him? Let him out. You already owe him all the money anyways. It's not like you're going to save anything if you cut him now.
Yeah, and no team realistically is going to pick him up anyway, especially because he's coming off 2 fucking Achilles tears within 4 months of each other, 3 months of each other. Plus, his performance on the field wasn't then fantastic. I won't even talk about all the shit off the field. We'll leave that not for this podcast. So yeah, the fact that if it doesn't come down to like right before the season starts that they released him, and they were just like, hey, cool, like you said, they already said that they fucked up with the contract. Which, hey, cool, good on you for admitting you fucked up. Fair enough. Not a lot of owners, GMs, etc. would openly come out and be like, hey, that's our bad, right? Like we fucked up. The fact that they did, kudos to them. All right, cool. Now it's time to move on. Now it's time to start moving forward. And moving forward is still rostering 5 QBs. Granted, some are obviously at least 1 or 2, if not. Realistically, what I can see happening is keeping Flacco and keeping one of the 2 rookies. I would say whoever performs better in preseason, getting rid of the other one, trading, releasing, whatever, trying to get some type of recoup from it, and Kenny Pickett will be the backup. And then you'll release Watson and you'll trade away the other rookie basically. So you'll have 3 rostered, more than likely. But if that's the case, let's say even you guys picked up like Gabriel in the 3rd round, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you trade him, right? All right, cool. Didn't pan out. Had a shitty preseason. Whatever. Coaches don't like him. Yada yada yada. You're not getting a 3rd round pick for the kid. Yeah. There's just no way you're not gonna get what you drafted him at for the trade. It's just not gonna happen.
I think the best value pick that they got is Shadur Sanders. Mason Graham is the defensive tackle that they picked up number 5 overall, but Shadur Sanders they picked up the Browns didn't even have a 6th or 7th round pick this year. Shadur was their last pick of the draft at 144 in round 5.
Yeah, so they saw it as their their saving grace type deal.
Yes, and I'm trying to find. Okay, so here's what the Browns and the Jags traded for Hunter. The Jags traded up from number 5 to number 2, and the Browns went down from 2 to 5. The Browns received a number 5 pick for this year, a 2nd round pick this year, and a 4th round pick this year.
And then you got a 1st round next year, right?
And then we also got, let's see, the Jags got a 2, a 4, and a 6 for this year. What does it say about? I thought they got some more like 5th and 7th last year.
I thought Jacksonville gave up a first. I thought Cleveland gave up a I'm sorry, Cleveland got a first round next year out of that trade.
I'm trying to find it. This people that are smarter than me write this shit, and I don't know how to read it. Just give me a picture. That's all I want. I want a picture of it. I just like it. I just. But yeah, I think the purpose of the trade actually will work out in Cleveland's favor for years to come if they can figure out what they need to fill the gap if the quarterback doesn't pan out. But hey, I mean, there's nothing wrong with planning, you know, 5 quarterbacks because then you'll always have a quarterback.
I mean, yeah, but dude, I'm not even a Cleveland fan, and it fucking blows my mind too. But you could have had Travis Hunter, who's a generational talent, right? You could have had him, and especially because you already picked up your. I mean, granted, obviously we didn't know that they were going to pick him up then, but you seemed like you knew you were going to go for the guy from Oregon in the third round. You kind of already seemed like that was going to be kind of what played out anyway. So knowing that going into the draft is, again, I'm assuming every team has a fucking plan. Some, the way they draft, I don't think so. But if that's the case, right, you expect, okay, cool, like all right, this is who we're looking for. All right, cool. 2. All right, we're gonna pick Travis Hunter. Cool. That's gonna help us out offensively and defensively. Cool. We already have 3 QBs on the roster. We're gonna draft a rookie because we're gonna trade or get rid of or cut one of the other 3, if not 2 of the other 3. And then, hell, 5th round, if Shedeur is still available, since it's our last pick, why the fuck not at that point take him then? Then you have Travis Hunter and you got Shedeur Sanders, right? If Sanders was your ultimate goal at the end of it all, granted, the fact that he was their last pick, I don't think it was. Why trade out of that position if you're trying to start making moves and start winning games and making playoff runs and shit like that? Because I'm pretty sure Cleveland got a first round next year for it too.
They did. I did read that. They did.
So if that's the case, the only way that really backfires is if Jacksonville has a fantastic season next year. You know, everything kind of clicks together like it did 2 years ago when they went on the playoff run.
Yeah.
Or went to the playoffs. You know, now, all right, cool. Instead of you thinking you're going to get another top 5 pick and wherever Cleveland finishes, so 2 in the first round. All right, now you got 1 in the first round in the beginning and then 1 middle to the end of the pack. All right, cool. Did you get as much value from that part of the trade as you were expecting? No.
And I think too, like, let's say Jacksonville, maybe they don't have as bad of a season as they did this year, but they go middle of the pack. That's still, maybe a 15 to 20 overall maximum pick in the first round for Cleveland to get. That'll line up with more of their still solid wide receiver or maybe like a cornerback pick. You're probably not going to get the number 1 QB, the number 1 edge rusher, the number 1 offensive tackle or running back, but you might get a pick like they're probably not going to want to pick a tight end. They're probably going to look for something like safety or wide receiver.
Archie Manning.
Do what?
Archie Manning.
If they pick Arch Manning, I swear to God.
Dude, I mean, I thought that with them and Pittsburgh, I thought both of them are going to be kind of like, all right, cool. Like, Shadir's still on the board. We're passing up on him this many times. We're kind of looking at next year's quarterback class with Archie Manning potentially being in that draft class.
Yeah. Well, I think
that's what I thought was going to happen.
I think that's kind of what they're calling the 2026 draft already as the race for Arch Manning.
Yeah, which
like
it'll be the
super
Saints.
early to call that. Yeah, but
I know. I think he's already like the betting odds on draft or the fucking number 1 draft favorite on DraftKings already for next year's draft. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Me personally, I'm picking Travis Hunter, and I'm either just sticking with Gabriel from Oregon or just sticking with Shadir. I am surprised though that that Shadir, since we're on the kind of topic of him, that he slid so far. Granted, what I saw that came out, and I think pretty much everybody has, is his pre-draft interviews with a bunch of teams didn't go well. is what
Yeah,
I was seeing.
I saw one guy, I don't know who it was, said that was the worst interview he's ever been in, which,
Yep.
yeah.
Was uninterested. Didn't see. I mean, granted, obviously we don't know what team it was, so it could have just been, hey, I don't want to fucking play for you guys, so I'm just gonna fucking bomb this interview. Fine, fair enough, cool. But it sounds like that was kind of like a couple people said that it wasn't just one. And then you wore New York Giant cleats, thinking like, oh, like this is gonna be the team that picks me, kind of like putting that out there, and then they skimmed over you how many times who were in need of a quarterback.
Yeah, I think it was more of
So
like a humbling moment for him to realize like, oh, I have to actually work hard and do what I'm supposed to do in order to be this legend like my dad is. Like his dad didn't get there just by bombing interviews and saying this is how it's going to go. Like he had to work his ass off to get there. Like they
mhm.
don't call him prime time for a reason, but you want to be that good, you have to be that good. Like you can't just
Yeah.
you're not born into that talent, you know.
No, and that's the thing too. Like, I wonder because I'm pretty sure all of Sanders' sons are their agent is Dion.
Yeah.
So I think that also too had a little bit to play with it, not a ton, but just like you either like Deion Sanders or you don't. Like that's kind of the common consensus in the NFL world is you do or you don't, right?
Yeah.
You like the way how cocky and confident he was because he went out and proved it, or you hate him for that exact same reason too, just how overly cocky, overly confident he is, whatever it may be, you know, which is fine, right? To each his own. If you can go out there and prove it, sure, go ahead. Say whatever the hell you want. I don't really give a shit as long as you're proving it, right? Backing it up. Then be my guest, right? You're taking a chance and a bet on yourself. To like, hey, I'm that good. I'm gonna voice it. I'm gonna go out and show it. Sure, but I kind of get the feeling too that that might have hurt him a little bit in the draft stock. Because how many people are gonna be like, all right, cool. Like, granted, is Dion gonna be at every practice for the Browns that he goes to? Probably not. Or would he have been at everyone for Jacksonville if he got drafted there? Whoever, again, probably not. But it's just how much of these people, are GMs and owners going to want to have to deal with Dion? What if he actually? I'm pretty sure he still is his agent, and deal with him and be like, hey, cool, like let's negotiate a rookie contract, and then he's just nickel and diming everybody, trying to get as much as he can get, thinking his son's that good. When if you look at Colorado, the stats he put up, okay, cool, but a lot of that he put up good numbers that last year,
Yeah.
but Colorado's offensive line wasn't fantastic. The kid got sacked. Sacked a shit ton, hit a shit ton. Kind of hard to throw the ball if you're under duress, right? Ask any QB that's played for the New York Giants since Eli Manning left. They had no run game, so that doesn't really help the quarterback at all, right? So your goal is just to chuck it, and you had Travis Hunter, who you were chucking the ball to for the most part. So it's hard to fully judge just how good Shedeur actually is based off of that, if that's what you're looking at, right? Which is what you should be doing. So I could see kind of why he fell. I think honestly, I think it was just a combination of everything, and I just don't understand how like everybody goes like, oh, he's the either the one or the number 2 quarterback in this draft. He should be going top 3, if not top 4 at the absolute latest, and then falls down to 144. It's interesting to see. I don't think we'll ever fully really know why the hell that happened. I will say that I'm glad to see him kind of bounce back and be like, okay, cool. Now it's time to start working. Let's go prove everybody wrong type of thing is kind of what I'm getting out of how he's been posting and following up since being drafted 144th. But which I mean, hopefully he does well for you guys. I know he's on your team, but
Yeah. I mean,
let's hope he does something.
You already know my feelings on that. So, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I am skeptical, but I don't play the game and I just talk shit about it most of the time. So, let's see if they can prove me wrong this year.
I'm gonna say Gabriel's gonna get released or traded, and this is my prediction. Flacco will be the starter, obviously. Shedeur will be third string. Pickett will be backup. They'll release Watson, and they'll trade Gabriel. That's my prediction going into week 1. That's what I see happening.
All right.
But all right, enough of the Browns. Nobody wants to hear about the Browns. Yeah, even Browns fans don't want to hear about Browns. All right, so you have the Giants at number 3, which everyone thought they were going to pick up a quarterback, even though they did just get Russell Wilson, his old ass. But that's a different fucking Giants are a mess too. Abdul Carter, the edge from Penn State. Interesting, just because of the fact that everybody's kind of concerned about that foot injury he's had that may or may not require surgery if he hasn't already gotten it. So, yeah, he was one of the best defensive players they had. Obviously, he went overall number one on defensive players, but the Giants' defense was slacking. Their defensive, they just need pass rushing help. Granted, they need help on all sorts of sides of the ball on defense, but
I like the pick. I thought Abdul Carter, if my thought was that if Titans didn't go with Cam Ward and picked up Travis Hunter first overall, that the Browns would have picked up Abdul Carter as an edge because they were looking for that defensive help, which they did get number 5 overall with Mason Graham. But I like the pick. I think Abdul Carter, I got to watch him a lot in college because I'm a Michigan fan, so we play Penn State every year. Seeing him develop and just how well he has been over the last year, I think that's a huge pickup for the Giants that they needed some kind of high prospect on the defensive side of the ball. Like you said, they've kind of bolstered in their offense the last 2 years. They got 2 stellar wide receivers that are both rookies. Well, now 2 second years. They've got fucking Russell Wilson, and they just picked up Scattaboo too. So
damn right they did. I was hoping that was going to get brought up. Let's fucking go ASU.
ASU.
Yes,
I know you're a huge ASU fan. So
let's go. I was stoked when I saw that he got picked up. Not happy that he went to the Giants, but stoked that he got picked up. Cam,
I think he's going to do really
listen to the podcast one day. God, I hope you listen to it. Somehow, I hope this just stumbles upon your YouTube feed or Spotify, and you see it and you listen to probably about 24 minutes into this podcast, and you hear this, and you fucking hear this. I hope you do. I am happy for you, minus the fact that Arizona's warm and New York's cold as shit. But other than that, I can't wait to watch the rest of your career in the Giants. Granted, the Giants will probably trade you like they do fucking everything else. And Samko, I hope you listen to this too, and I fucking hope you agree. But there's that. I got all fucking pumped up at 8 o'clock at night, right?
Yeah, all right.
But if you can tell, I'm excited for that. They needed a power Saquon Barkley type. Hey, I'm either gonna juke you, I'm gonna
run you over.
I'm gonna run you over, and I'm gonna make sure that you don't want to tackle me come third and fourth quarter.
Yeah,
because it's gonna fucking hurt.
Watching him in those playoff games last year was insane. I think.
Yeah, the kid can throw. He can fucking catch. He can fucking run. And block. I'm excited.
And not only that, but he does it with such attitude, man. It gets you fired up. Watching that team, it gets his team fired up. I agree. I think that's a huge pickup. Granted, 4th round overall, or fourth round. But 4th round, 3rd overall, or 3rd pick in the 4th round. I think it was just that's a good value, I believe.
Oh, 100%. Everybody saw him like mid to end 3rd round, beginning of 4th round. So I'm cool with that. I honestly think, like you said, it gets everybody fired up. I mean, hell, it got me fired up talking about it. I don't even play.
I'm about to run through a brick wall over here.
I fucking might. I'll fuck my other shoulder up running through a wall. So yeah, no, it's definitely something I think that the Giants needed, something to boost them, kind of give that like spark, like, hey, cool, you see me running fucking people over, let's fucking go. Like let's get fired up. Let's do something, right?
Yeah.
And Russell Wilson seems to kind of feed off of that too a little bit. I mean, look at when he had Marshawn Lynch, dude. It was kind of the same way. Like, I'm gonna run people over. I'm gonna fire everybody up. Russell Wilson kind of got behind that and started feeding off that. Yep. So, I think that'll help the Giants out. Whether or not Russell Wilson's the answer in New York, it remains to be seen. But that's a thing for later in the pod, or a different podcast. Moving on, I gotta tone it down a little bit because I don't like the next team we're about to mention. But the Patriots, right? 4th pick overall. Will Campbell, offensive tackle out of LSU. Good pick for them. Their offensive line was fucking horrid last season. So to beef it up, the kid did look like he wanted to play with in New England. I guess he tried. I'm drawing a blank. He had like preseason like a workout with Mike Vrabel, their head coach, and I guess he put a pad on, and Will Campbell, I guess, knocked him on his ass, and he was like, "Yep, this is the kid we're going for." So it's good to see. Like I said, the kid seemed pretty happy about that. Just kind of plowing through the rest of these We already
Yeah,
kind of talked about the
and
majority of
he
them.
the swap over with their quarterbacks, they picked up Drake May. I think that they kind of they're looking to develop that quarterback a little bit, and their first priority was to get him
Protect
some
him.
protection.
Yeah.
So
You don't want to see who you think is going to be the future of your franchise getting knocked on his ass every play.
right.
Um, yeah.
Uh, fifth overall, we kind of talked about Mason Graham. Cleveland picked him up from Michigan, so like to see that.
Mhm.
He was a pretty solid D line guy in college. I loved watching. I watched all of Michigan's games last year, and I think he is a stellar performer. I think having someone with Miles Garrett next to him is going to be a huge, huge step up for the defensive game, especially on the line, and really exploit some lacking offensive lines this year. So hopefully that Cleveland can make those matchups work because Mason Graham is a beast and Miles Garrett has already solidified himself as a top defensive player in the game. I think those two guys working together are going to be a force to reckon with on the D line of things.
Oh, agreed. Also, I just want to point out too, I like how Miles Garrett was like, I want to go to a team that's got a winning franchise. Hey, we'll give you $40 million to play here. Let's go, Cleveland. Like,
Yeah,
let's,
yeah,
let's
tells you that
let's
money
go.
does in fact buy happiness. So yeah, I
hundred
saw that
percent.
too, and I
Hey,
was like, okay, whatever, man.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Pick number 6, the Vegas Raiders, running back, Boise State, Ashton Jeff Genty. I'm honestly surprised by this. I know Geno Smith's their quarterback. I figured for sure they were gonna go for a QB, but I don't know. Genty's good. Don't get me wrong. All the numbers he put up in Boise State, but like realistically, is he putting those numbers up if he played in the ACC, SEC? Is he putting those numbers up? I don't think so. Good running back. Don't get me wrong. The Raiders, have kind of prided themselves on, hey, we want a big bruiser of a running back, right? That's just kind of been what they've had. So good pick for them, I think. I think it'll be interesting to see how Ashton Genty, pans out and how much he fits into Pete Carroll's offensive scheme with Geno Smith there.
Yeah, I think the overall mentality of the Raiders has kind of changed this offseason, and they really are starting to really focus on building up their offense. They have a really good defensive captain in Max Crosby, Mason Crosby, Max Crosby.
Max
So
Crosby.
so I think that they're really kind of like trying to complement the other side now. Max is, I mean, probably one of the top defenders in the game. Not only just IQ wise, but just the attitude that he brings into the game. And now adding this kind of this offensive threat in a running back after picking up Geno Smith, who has really kind of stood out with the Seahawks the last couple of years. I think that the Raiders are going to be on an upswing in the next year or so. So this is a
Yeah,
good pick in my opinion.
I give him another probably year just to kind of develop, Genty and just kind of everybody out there. And I know Geno's a veteran QB at this point now too, but let's get some more weapons offensively, loose receiver wise, and kind of go from there. Let's make it so you are actually scoring some fucking touchdowns here.
Yeah.
Uh,
Seventh overall
yep.
pick was Armand Membo from Missouri, the Mizzous, offensive tackle. He went to the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
I think this might
I
have
don't
been
want. I don't watch
a
Missouri.
dud.
I think the Jets need more than just an offensive tackle, but
Yeah, I think that they need to figure out who's going to be their quarterback before they try to figure out who they're trying to protect.
yeah,
Uh,
but
yeah.
yeah, agreed. Exactly. Just yeah. All right. So 8th pick, Carolina Panthers. Not even going to try to pronounce his first name, but McMillan is his last name, wide receiver from Arizona. I am excited about that. I'm glad we finally got a big DK Metcalf sized receiver,
Yeah.
right? Like quick, but not like not going to blow your doors off like Tyreek Hill fast, but not slow. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
downhill speed or down the field speed are decent, not great, but the dude's 6'5", like 210, 230, something like that. So those 50-50 jump balls, I think, will be his bread and butter, especially because we saw, Bryce was able to start, kind of making a lot more of those too. Plus, we still have Adam Thielen.
Yeah,
We just picked up Hunter Renfro. That came out the other day.
That's actually a huge pickup too. I didn't know you guys picked him up.
For a dude who didn't play last year, and then everyone was kind of rumored that he was going to retire. But yeah, now, and we also drafted with our last pick, our 6th-round pick, was a Colorado wide receiver who I've been watching, who I like, J.C. Horn Jr. And that dude is fucking fast. That dude is quick. That I don't remember what his 40-yard time was, but that's the dude that we've been looking for like that downhill threat.
Yeah.
Or that downfield threat to start making it happen. So I'm excited about that. So I think overall for Carolina, I think it was a good pick because we were in the bid for DK when that like whole trade thing was going on. They obviously ended up what do you go? The Steelers, I think, is where he went. So yeah, that's what. So obviously we got outbid for that, which is fair.
And that's fine. I do agree with you. I think you guys are really starting to give weapons to Bryce Young and let him kind of develop as the player he should have been instead of trying to force him to play with limited tools. But I think you guys are going to have a very good developmental season for Bryce Young and really let your rookies and new additions. And Hunter Renfro is not a like a number like top 5 overall wide receiver, but he's always a consistently good guy. Kind of like how Adam Thielen was. Yeah, kind of how like Adam Thielen is. Like you can have a really good year, but it's kind of like an anomaly. But it's not to say that just because you had one good year, all the other years are bad. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you're having consistently decent years, and you've had a couple of good years. And Hunter Renfro, I feel like kind of balances those good and average years out, and I think it's a good pickup for you. And hopefully, maybe getting that kind of offensive threat with the with all 3 of those guys can really increase the potential of your of everybody's kind of the word I'm looking for, like
their ceiling type deal.
Yeah, kind of like yeah, exactly. Like one guy starts to perform well, the other guy's like, hey, I want to be matching with him, right? And it kind of creates that internal competitiveness with each other where you're not trying to be better, but you're it's like it's for fun. Like you're trying to just say like I'm better than you, not in a bad way, but like you know what I mean? Like it creates that competitiveness with amongst yourselves, and it overall affects the team in a positive way.
Yeah, let's hope that's how it pans out. I'm really hoping that does pan out. Like I said, I feel like we did pretty well in this draft this year. I'm pretty excited about it. See how everybody pans out. I was so happy when I saw J.C. Horn get drafted. I ended up seeing it on my phone. Obviously, nobody really watches the 6th round and 7th round, but yeah, I saw that we had picked up a Colorado wide receiver, and I was like, it's got to be J.C. Horn. I looked at it, and it was. So I was pretty excited about that. There's rumor that he's probably going to be more of our like return team punt / kickoff type stuff, but either way, I'm excited for it. Dude's quick, agile, and is extremely elusive. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they hopefully use him too in the wide receiver game. But
now the guy that the running back that you picked up, Etienne, is he Travis Etienne's younger brother?
He most certainly is.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Which I'm glad you mentioned that too. I don't know if we were gonna begin mentioning it too. Which we picked up a rookie in Jonathan Brooks last year who re-tore his ACL. So like in one of his like last games of the season, it was like probably the second to last game. He only came back in for like 3 games in the year because he had just came off of tearing one in college, the same ACL that he tore in the pros. So like I'm wondering if we just let go of Miles Sanders. Thank God. So I'm wondering if Jonathan Brooks' time in Carolina might be done just because of the fact that, hey, you've had 2 ACL tears and surgeries on the same knee within 2 years of each other. Like he's not going to play this upcoming year, right? Now we're 2 years into that rookie contract. Let's see if we can make him look good in a preseason game next season and then trade him off. So that's kind of how that looked. The fact that they took another running back this year, but we'll see how it all pans out. But yes, he is his younger brother.
Okay, I thought so because I was like, that name sounds familiar. But Travis never played for you. He was primarily a Jacksonville guy.
He's only been the Jags.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how you guys look this year. But
I know. NFL Sunday ticket. Thank God. Watch some fucking Panther games this year. And apparently I'll be watching the fucking Giants because I'm intrigued by them now.
Honestly, I kind of am too, but we'll see.
It just sucks because last year when I didn't give a fuck about them, that's all I ever saw in any of like the local games here out in California.
Oh yeah,
And
okay.
but luckily I had Sunday tickets, so it really didn't fucking matter. But
All right.
what
Ninth overall went to the Saints. Kelvin Brooks Jr., offensive tackle out of Texas.
Kelvin Banks, reading's
I
hard.
said Brooks.
You,
Kelvin Banks Jr. Thank you.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that the Saints are really starting to figure out. I think they know who they want to play in quarterback. They're just not telling us. I don't think it's going to be Derek Carr.
Cars might not be playing. Like his shoulder surgery sounds like it's more severe than they originally thought, hence the surgery. So I don't see him playing.
Yeah, I think that they don't play him. They did pick up a quarterback in second round, Tyler Schaff from Louisville, but I don't know. I just don't see them because they also have Rattler, right? Is it still Rattler?
Oh yes, it's Spencer Rattler. It should be who.
I mean, if anybody starts, it's gonna be Rattler. That's my opinion in the quarterback realm. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. They have Rattler, and I was also thinking of Jake Hayner.
Yeah, he's their fourth.
Games, yeah. So I
Yeah.
think Spencer Rattler is going to be the starter. It's going to be between him and Jake Hayner, maybe, but I think Rattler's just got the more, more of the nod and experience because they played him more last year and they got to see him a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just don't know about this rookie. I think, and I say rookie, but he's 25.
Yeah, he's one of the older QBs in the draft.
Like one of the oldest. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, granted, being 25 as a rookie isn't necessarily a big deal because you've got guys playing into their 30s. It's just more of like, how have you developed over the last 4 years at the age of 20 to 24 versus a guy that we're getting out of college at that age? How does it look? So I don't know. I think that he did make a good point. The quarterback Tyler
Show, yeah.
said if he played for 10 years, he'd be 35. So that's not really bad to think about. Like seen, a lot of guys play at 32, 33. So that's 7-8 years.
Yeah. I mean, Brady played, he was what, 42? And then your best friend Aaron Rodgers is 41? 40?
80.
Yeah. I mean, he's got an NFL, did have an NFL contract and we didn't, but now we're all on the same playing field.
Oh, so valid. Yeah. See, now we're all the same. So, yeah, I think that I think the Saints know who they want to go with. I just don't think they've told us yet publicly. But this pick in Kelvin Banks, I think, is just a kind of that prioritizing, protecting the quarterback.
Help getting Kamara some running lanes.
Yeah, that kind of developing that pass block, rush block, and creating that, like you said, running lane to get the running back at least into the secondary level. Because if you got somebody like Alvin Kamara, you've got someone like God, what's his name? The versatile.
Someone doesn't know the rest of the Saints roster.
It's the versatile guy. He's like a tight end. He does everything. Taysom Hill.
Oh, Taysom Hill. Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, they have Brandon Cooks on their roster. They have
Olave.
They've got Rashid Shaheed. They've got a pretty solid offensive roster. And I think really the only thing that they're missing, in my opinion, is a tight end. I don't really see. I mean, they got Foster Moreau, but they just really don't have like one of those big tight end guys. They drafted one they did draft one in the 7th round out of UCLA, Maliki Matavio, but I don't know. I think they're really focused on offensive line and quarterback right now. Their biggest
Yeah.
concern in public eye is quarterback, which I'd
Yes.
be kind of surprised to see, or I kind of want to see how they decided to play that moving into the
Yeah.
season.
I think it's solely just waiting on Derek Carr saying like, "Yep, cool, I need surgery." I know he was trying to get either like a second opinion or was getting ready to like go in for surgery not too long ago.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. 10th pick. This will be we'll do the just the top 10 since
Yeah.
no one really cares about anything other outside of that unless it's your team. Colson Loveland, tight end, Michigan.
That's my boy.
Good, good pick. I think it was between him and Tyler Warren. I think were the two tight ends that everybody was like, all right, cool. The Bears are going tight end, right? Everyone keeps thinking that's like the missing piece that they need. A big,
I,
big,
I think
ching tight end. You know what I mean?
I think Tyler Warren was actually ranked number 1 tight end into the draft, the prospect, and he
Mm.
went to the Colts. But
Yep, at
yeah,
14.
again, Michigan fan here. Seeing 2 Michigan picks in the top 10 and no Ohio State picks, you guys can suck my balls. Absolutely love the fact that that happened. But Colston Loveland is an amazing tight end, in my opinion. Amazing. He's great at blocking, setting up that defense, breaking out of the zone. He's had some highlight reel plays where you see him kind of drop back into that pass defense and then break out for a route, and he's wide open. Granted, they're still playing college ball, but developing that technique early and then seeing that transition into the professional level is going to be huge because there are a lot of good tight ends that can do that. For example, Travis Kelsey. You see him do it a lot where you get him to drop back in your pass defense. Defensive line kind of ignores him. Linebackers are kind of focused on the receivers. He breaks out, and if you're looking for a couple of yards, you've got a first down. But then the same thing with like Colston Loveland, even like Sam Laporta or David Njoku, they've got that downhill power run. They can drop their shoulder pads and push themselves forward for an extra 5 to 10 yards.
Mhm.
I really like this. I'm sad to see him go to Chicago, but I think that really, really helps Caleb Williams, especially because they also have Cole Kmet, which I really
Mhm.
like. Cole Kmet as a tight end. I pick him up almost every year on my team as like a backup tight end. So yeah, I think with the offense that they've got, which they've got, I mean, they've got your old boy too from Carolina.
DJ Moore.
Thank you. Yeah, DJ Moore. Yeah, I didn't want to rub that one in, but I
But you put anyway.
they're looking good. I think they're looking solid this year.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see, Caleb Williams kind of, develop a little bit more too and actually have some time and granted, he did start kind of picking up for the end of the season last year and kind of figuring it out. I think, the game moves faster than I think a lot of people realize, and especially in their first few games. And like I said, slowly started kind of figuring out, piecing everything together toward the end of the year, and started looking, putting some respectable games together. And hopefully, this will, just be another check down guy he can throw to too if he needs to and gets in trouble. And I mean, I have a feeling the Bears will rock a two wide receiver set or a two tight end set. I'm sorry, and kind of do like a Patriots of the old, with Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski and stuff. But
Yeah.
and just kind of seeing that take off, I think it'll work pretty well in Chicago. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Bears, but I think it'll be interesting to see how they play out this year now, especially with old Colston Loveland going to them. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's the top 10 for the 2025 draft recap.
Yeah.
I think we're almost at that hour mark.
Yeah, we're just about at an hour. If you want, we can put a pin in it, come back next week, and we can recap overall grades for every team, every
Yeah,
pick, and kind of give some maybe some fantasy value advice next week, and
yeah,
talk about some pickups that y'all gotta might want to look at for
some dynasty
offensive.
league stuff, and yeah, yeah, I'm down. That works for me. Uh oh, I'm reading Google Drive stuff, trying to figure out who people are from. But yeah, no, that putting a pin into it absolutely works. We can absolutely get to that next week. We'll actually post one next week.
We actually,
Uh,
yes. Yes.
and then there might be a few weeks in between, pending. This is kind of like that weird time of the year where, all right, cool, they're just signing people, really not much happening. Kind of going from there until training camps and stuff like that happens. So
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of where we'll see.
We'll get the Instagram up.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
get the Twitter up.
Instagram, Twitter, we'll make some changes and get some things going there and make it look a little bit better for season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just kind of see how it goes this year. Pick
Yeah,
up
see how it goes.
pick up the pace on some stuff and pump out some more content for y'all. And
Put some videos up and stuff. But yeah, stuff that we said we were gonna do last year. This is episode 1 unofficially of season 2 for us. I'll count the draft as like the next season. So, but yeah, as always, Zach, it's been fun. Can't wait to do this again next week.
100%.
Tomorrow, I get to beat you in an iRacing race, so get to that tomorrow. But as always, everybody, have fun, be safe, and hopefully enjoy listening to us talk for an hour.
Yeah, thank y'all for coming out. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch y'all next week. Be safe. Bye.
Goodbye.